Hi, I'm going to tell you a story from Wales, the other side of the ocean. This is a story called Slop, and it was written down by my friend Margaret Reed MacDonald. It goes like this. There was an old man and an old woman, and they lived together in a little house, and there was a fence that went all the way around their yard. Every day, the little old woman would make supper, and we're going to do that together. She'd pick up a potato, so pick up your potato, and her potato peeler. Pretend you've got your potato peeler there, and she'd peel a potato. And then she'd pick up a carrot, and she would peel the carrot. She'd pick up an onion, and she would chop the onion. Chop, 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 chop. Sometimes onions can make you cry when you're cutting them. You're not really crying, but your eyes leak because of the onion. Okay. Then that little old woman would gather up all of those food scraps. She called them slops. And she would put those slops into her slop bucket. The man and the woman would have their supper. And after supper, they would wash the dishes together and they would dry the dishes together. And then the old woman would take all the dirty dishwater and she would throw it into the slop bucket. And the old man would take that heavy slop bucket out the front door and walk 10 steps to the fence. And you could do that with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was heavy. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And he'd throw it over the fence. Now, one day after supper, the old man picked up that heavy slop bucket and he walked the 10 steps to the fence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And he heard a voice. And the voice said, "I wish you wouldn't do that." But the old man looked all around and he couldn't see where that voice came from. He went back inside the house and he told the old woman what had happened. And she listened and then she said, I think we might have some wee folk nearby. For the next day, the old woman made supper. She picked up the potato and she peeled her potato. She picked up a carrot and she peeled the carrot. And she picked up the onion and she chopped the onion. And then she gathered all of the slops and she put them in the slop bucket. The old man and old woman ate a nice vegetable stew. And then together they washed the dishes and they dried the dishes. And then the old woman took the dirty dishwater and she poured it into the slop bucket. And the old man picked up that heavy slop bucket and he walked the 10 steps out the front door to the fence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He heard the voice again. I said, I wish you wouldn't do that. And the old man looked around. He couldn't see anything until he looked down. And next to his foot, there was a wee man. And that little man said, every time you throw your slops over the fence, they are landing on my house. And it's making a mess that we have to clean up every day. The old man looked over the fence and he said, I don't see any house down there. I see the woods. I see some birds and squirrels. There's no house that I see. Well, if you could see through my eyes, you would see that there's a house. Are you willing to see through my eyes? Well, I'm willing, but I don't know how. But then the little man said, put your great big foot on my little foot and look over the fence again, and you will be able to see through my eyes. So the old man very, very carefully put his great big foot on top of the little man's tiny little foot, and he looked over the fence again. And there he saw a little house. And that house was covered with slops. Why, there were onion rings, rather onion skins all over the front yard, and carrot peelings on the roof, and potato peelings. And the whole yard was flooded with water. And the man said, I could see the slops are going right down your chimney. Oh, I am sorry. And he went inside and he told the old woman. The old woman said, well, we can't throw our slops there anymore. We'll have to throw the slops out the backyard. The old man said, that slop bucket is heavy. I'm an old man. I cannot carry that slop bucket all the way to the backyard. So the old man and the old woman sat down together and they thought what they might do. They thought and they thought. I know, said the old woman. We could have a back door built. And then you could go out the back door with the slops and take 10 steps to the back fence. That's a good idea, but it takes money to call a carpenter and have a door made. The old woman said, that's all right. I have saved some money and I would be happy to spend it if it made our neighbors happy. And so they called the carpenter. And the carpenter came and he made a new back door for the old man and old woman. It was a nice door. And the old woman made supper. She picked up her potato and she peeled that potato. She picked up a carrot. She picked up an onion. The old man and old woman had their supper. And after supper, you know what they did? They washed the dishes and they dried the dishes. And then the old woman took that dirty dishwater and she put it into the slop bucket. And the old man picked up the slop bucket. It was heavy. And he went out the back door and he took 10 steps to the fence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And he threw the slops over the fence in the back of the house. And he listened. There was no complaint. He heard, thank you. The old man looked over the fence again, saw the slops there, and he said, you know, that's a good place to have a compost pile. Compost pile. Do you know about a compost pile? If you don't know about compost piles, you could ask someone, what's a compost pile? And then you find out. Why do people have a compost pile? That's a good question. Well, the old man and the old woman might have spent all their money like building that back door, But it made their neighbor happy. And the old man and old woman never wanted for anything, because every time the old man opened the back door to take out the slops, a gold coin rolled across the floor. It was put there by the little man as a thank you. It was a gift from one good neighbor to another. That's the story of Slop and Margaret Reed MacDonald. I hope you liked it as much as I liked to tell it.